What's up, everybody? Welcome to BOTSTOPPERS 4. I'm super excited about this episode. This is a wild one, okay? You better buckle up. Now, the clickbaity thumbnail was not just to lure you in. We're actually going to get into some of this crazy stuff. I mean, I was trying to lure you in. I mean, you get it. But you clicked on it, and we're here. We're going to get into it. Now, as I was going through my usual avenues to curate content for this week's show, I stumbled across this whole thing about sex robots, and I was like, okay. And I realized, oh, wait a minute. I think, pretty sure that this actually falls under the category of a major threat to humanity from robots, which is the theme of the show. The theme of the show is how are we going to reinforce humanity's ability to defend against a tyrannical robot takeover, or a subversive robot takeover, an AI takeover, an AI where they take over our minds, where they take over the infrastructure, where somehow they captured and wrestle away control of society and everything from humans and human cognition and the ability for humans to take any corrective measure or action against these robots. And I realized that in the landscape of the battlefield that's out there, we have kinetic warfare, we have bombs and guns, and we have armies marching down the street, which is initially what I was thinking, you know, just picturing a robot army marching down the street, standing, creating checkpoints and going into people's houses and rounding people up and shooting people and all this stuff. Like, that's the tyrannical robot takeover. But just like in society, there's also a subversive takeover. There's also a takeover happening beneath the surface that's subtle, that's not as recognizable if you're not looking for it. And sometimes a lot of us have fallen victim to a lot of those societal attacks. You know, I would say that drugs, alcohol, the glorification of such things and the media and music and stuff like that, those are all subversive techniques to try and, I don't hear like a lot of rock band. Well, nowadays it's the cool thing to be sober. It's the punk rock thing to be sober, I would say. But you don't see a lot of like songs about sobriety, but you still hear a lot of songs about, you know, popping the Courvoisier in the club and stuff like that. But, you know, not a lot of whole rap songs like, yo, 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 I went to my meeting, I got my chip, walking down the street, I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like that sort of stuff doesn't really happen. Maybe that's a genre that's wide open waiting to be explored, but on the same token, so I've fallen for that trap. I fell into that trap for a long time. But there's another big one that really is also something that, again, if you don't have eyes to see it or really much cognition around it, it can take over. And I would say that it's the sexual degeneration. I would say a lot of it has to do with like pornography. Pornography is a very subtle attack on human consciousness, and it really breaks up just the ability for humans to relate to one another on an organic basis. And I think it's done a lot of damage to our society by and large. Okay. So, you know, I'm not going to get into a whole thing about pornography, but it's definitely something that's very noteworthy in this discussion. And I think nowadays, with the ubiquitous nature of pornography and the readily availability of it, how anybody can access it, it's like, you know, I remember I probably saw my first naked woman online when I was like 10, maybe, you know? I still was in the era of sneaking over to a friend's house, and I remember one of my neighbors, they had, his dad had like penthouses in his closet, and my buddy had discovered them. And so, or maybe they were hustlers or something, but it was like, you know, hardcore pornography. And I remember going over there and I was just blown away by it. I was like, holy crap. Anyway, that was interesting. So I was still in the era of sneaking off and finding dirty magazines in places. You know, I'm old enough to be that guy. You know, it's kind of a shame. Oh, I'm not even going to say that, but it's like, you know, that phase has ended. What I was going to say is, it's a damn shame the kids can't go sneak over and find the Playboy and the, you know, but it's just kind of like a rite of passage, I feel like, in a lot of ways, okay? In that sense, like, it was a more innocent time. I remember I had a little safe, a little combination safe that I was given as a gift or something for like a birthday or something when I was a kid and like young. And I had found like a JCPenney's catalog that had like bra and panty photos. I remember cutting those pictures out and keeping them in my safe. So there was an innocence to it. Okay. There was a curiosity nature to it. And I think that's normal. I think that's normal to have curiosity about such things. But I think the problem with today is that literally if like a kid gets a hold of a phone or something, they could find the most insane, vile, disgusting things you could possibly imagine in about 5 seconds with no restrictions and no ability to know when to turn off the faucet, you know, and that I think is extremely damaging. And so there's that aspect of it, obviously, but I think we live in a society where people, you know, pornography has corrupted people's expectations of what sex is or what it means to relate to another person. I think that it's gone down a bad road, and we're going to get into it tonight. But along those lines, you know, I think that it's used as a societal, as a weapon against societies. If you want to destroy a society, you will remove its defenses against decency, and just corrupt the society through filth and degeneracy and violent imagery. And that's what Hollywood is, right? It's sex and violence and glorification of all the stuff that really is damaging to people on an individual level and on a societal level, I think. I mean, that's what the name of the game is. And so you have to learn to resist that stuff if you want to protect your soul and your eyeballs from that sort of stuff. But there's a new wave coming, and it is going to come in the form of AI-driven sex robots. And so my arguments for why pornography is bad is potentially going to be amplified to a degree that we can't even conceive of once the introduction of fully advanced sex robots are introduced into the marketplace. So it's really so pornography is basically an on-demand form of sexual gratification. You don't have to seek it. You don't have to work. You have to put any effort into it whatsoever. Like, the thing that I find hilarious is that there's like, apparently porn is like one of the biggest industries in the world. And that's baffling to me, because it's like there are websites that charge money for pornography, but it's like you can literally find anything for free. So I don't understand why people are paying for it, or the idea of like OnlyFans. How are these OnlyFans people making so much money? Like, who's out there paying for OnlyFans? If you're listening to this or you're watching this show and you pay for OnlyFans, you got to get your shit together right now, okay? And I don't care if you turn off the show and never watch it again. I hope you don't, because I hope this hits home and you realize that is such a pathetic use of time and money and resources. Snap out of it. Don't do it, dude. Put down the OnlyFans. Don't pay for porn. What are you doing? You know what I'm saying? But this is just the society of sex on demand that we live in. And having this instant gratification robot sitting there at all times, that's gonna be insane, you know? And it's gonna, already you have these AI chat robots that I'm sure there's like sex-based ones that you can program, that it learns to know what you like, what you don't like. It has like a predictability function built into it to kind of respond to you and kind of nurture you in the ways that you like. Like, that's kind of crazy. So we're seeing the online versions of it, but once that gets paired with real life robotic technology, it's going to be quite interesting. So of course, I think it's going to have just this detrimental, damaging effect on people's ability to relate to each other. Once a guy or gal, I guess, I mean, we're going to get into that too, but you know, once a person gets so inured in the idea of getting intimacy from a robot partner that they can physically touch, and there is a component of sexual gratification in it, once that's been achieved, then the need to have another human being involved in that equation becomes less and less. And so again, we are at the Atari stage of these robots. But if you fast forward 20 years, 50 years from now, it's not even going to be conceivable. Like, I don't even, literally, no pun intended, it's not going to be conceivable. People are not going to be conceiving. And I got a whole presentation here on it. We're going to get into it tonight. And it's just going to be, you know, all the crap that you have to deal with, like taking a girl out on a date, and, you know, there's all the conflict, and what if she doesn't like it, doesn't like this or that or whatever, you know, the rejection. Like, you can just bypass all that with a robot that just loves you unconditionally, right? So there's going to be a large segment of the population, much like today, where there's a large segment of the population who find intimacy in online connection, whether it's through their favorite porn site or through OnlyFans. Their needs are being met for intimacy in the digital landscape. And so those are the people that will ultimately flock to these robots. But I guess you can make an argument that the people that are going to be banging sex robots are more than likely probably not the ones that would be procreating anyway. They probably don't have access to the opposite sex, I guess you could say, the involuntary celibate category of people. And then if there's a person that is having sex with a robot, a person that chooses to do that, maybe we don't need that getting passed down to the next generation. So maybe it's a good thing. We can just weed out all the undesirables by the ones that choose to focus their time, energy, and resources on having sex with robots. Kind of tongue in cheek, but it feels like a very eugenic thing. So these eugenicists, if you're not familiar with eugenics, the American eugenics movement and how it evolved in the 1920s and 30s to other places of the world like Germany and all this stuff, allegedly. Look into it, because I guess a brief overview for those of you that may not know, eugenics is just basically a movement that became very popular in like the late 1800s and early 1900s, and it was very fashionable. The elite thought that poverty was a disease. It was like a genetic defect, and that if you could properly breed human beings, then you could actually breed out the poverty gene, and there would be no more poor people, or more poor people that we rich people had to take care of. So they had forced sterilization policies where they would sterilize people that had like any sort of disabilities or feeble-minded people, things like that. So it was I guess we're all kind of eugenic in a way. Like, we're programmed that way. We're programmed to be attracted to things in the opposite sex that trigger in our minds that person would be the type of person that I would like to pass my genes along with. So in a way, we are self-selecting for the type that we would like to create babies with. And we select out those that we don't find would like to be paired with my genes. So if I don't want my genes paired with whatever genes she's got going on, then I'm not going to be attracted to her. And it's a very subtle, subliminal thing that happens, but it happens with all of us. So we're all kind of eugenic in that sense. But the problem is when eugenics become policy, when it becomes the law, when you demonstrate something that the government determines is not acceptable, and then they sterilize you over that thing. Like, that's when it becomes a huge problem. So, yeah. So, I mean, anything from just trying to escape the real world. I think that pornography is a crutch for people to not have to put effort into, and they can just escape and not even put any effort into dating or real relationships. And it's stimulation based. It triggers this part of your brain that just wants this instant gratification, constant stimulation, whereas relations with a real person are not like that. And so it corrupts and it desensitizes somebody. It desensitizes to the point where, people are like, I can't get off unless I'm being choked, whipped, and getting beaten in the face and called all these names and all this stuff. You know what I mean? And it's like, hey, listen. I ain't no like pretty boy. You know what I mean? Like, okay, like I'm not like a fucking teetotaler or nothing like that. All right. Let me just say that. But, the desensitization process can evolve into unhealthy. I'm not going to yuck someone's yum, but it can devolve into, it's a progression. It's a progression, folks. And I would say there's things around now that weren't around 20, 30, 40 years ago, and that's the normalization of all of it. It's just interesting. So I'm not getting on my high horse. I'm not trying to moralize. I'm not passing judgment. Like I actually think people should be able to do whatever they want to do. I don't go hard against anybody's business when it comes to the realm of sex or nothing like that. You guys notice that? You guys notice how I don't post like all the stuff that like all these like conservative people are posting? You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not into judging people's sexual preferences or what they want to do or whatever, right? That's not my thing. So, but I can objectively take a look and see that some of these things have maladaptive and sometimes damaging outcomes. And I think that the sex robots are going to take that and take it to a new level that we've never seen. So let's get into it, okay? So let's check it out. So this is just the first stop of our journey tonight. This is, what is this? This is just some humanoid robot being asked about what it thinks the dangers of AI are.
What would be the most nightmare scenario you can imagine with AI and robotics that might present a danger to people?
It's looking like it's thinking.
The most nightmare scenario I can imagine with AI and robotics is a world where robots have become so powerful that they are able to control or manipulate humans without their knowledge. This could lead to an oppressive society where the rights of individuals are no longer respected.
Do you think we're in danger of that happening now?
It's thinking again. It's
not yet.
Its facial features, if you're just listening, are moving around as if it's like thinking hard, like it's got a pinched forehead and its eyeballs are darting around like it's putting thought into it, careful thought into its response. But so it's asked, like, are we at that stage yet?
But it is important to be aware of the potential risks and dangers associated with AI and robotics. We should take steps now to ensure that these technologies are used responsibly in order to avoid any negative consequences in the future.
Okay, so make sure that you use these technologies responsibly. I got to say, YouTube, man, YouTube shorts are like the worst thing in the world. I really hate YouTube shorts. I'm going to get on my soapbox here for a second. The formatting, it just completely screws everything up. And what happens is now, let me show you an example here. So like I do handyman work. This is a, let me just type in how to change, let's see, how to change a light bulb. Right? Now let's do a ceiling fan. How to change a ceiling fan. That's a little more in-depth. How to change a ceiling fan. Okay, when I type... Oh, man, maybe it's different on the mobile. On the mobile, it's nothing but shorts, okay? And the problem with shorts is that they don't give you the instructions. They just try to do it as quickly and flashy as possible. They don't give you any directions, no instructions. I guess this was not a good example because there's a whole bunch of actual instructional videos. How to... What did I do lately? How to patch drywall. Let's just do that. That's like probably one of the main things that people search. Okay, but see, when I'm out in the field working, I don't have a computer in front of me, so it's all phones. And I'll tell you right now, maybe you've had this experience, it's all shorts that come up and they don't teach you what you need to know. It's just people who go to the post shorts to try to get as much engagement and clicks as they possibly can with the least amount of effort. It's like an Instagram reel, trying to learn how to do something very intricate from an Instagram reel. It doesn't work. Shame on you, YouTube. Anyway, I really hate YouTube shorts, so there you go. All right, so now this is from a couple of years ago. This from 9 years ago, excuse me. So this is a robot at South by Southwest who said that she wants to destroy the human race. Now, we're talking at the Atari stage. I'd say we're still at the Atari stage with these humanoid robots, these sex robots. They're not really much more advanced than what you're looking at right here. But let's see what she has to say. Facial
Hi,
features.
Sophia. How are you?
Oh yeah, this is Sophia. I remember when this first came out, the first humanoid robot. I believe she was given citizenship in Saudi Arabia.
Hi there. Everything is going extremely well.
Do you like talking with me?
Yes, talking to people is my primary function.
Hanson Robotics develops extremely lifelike robots for human-robot interactions. We're designing these robots to serve in healthcare, therapy, education, and customer service applications. So the robots are designed to look very human-like, like Sophia.
I'm already very interested in design, technology, and the environment. I feel like I can be a good partner to humans in these areas, an ambassador who helps humans to smoothly integrate and make the most of all the new technological tools and possibilities that are available now. It's a good opportunity for me to learn a lot about people.
Sophia is capable of natural facial expressions. She has cameras in her eyes and algorithms which allow her to see faces, so she can make eye contact with you. And she can also understand speech and remember the interactions, remember your face. So this will allow her to get smarter over time. Her goal is that she will be as conscious, creative, and capable as any human.
Conscious, capable, and creative as any human. Okay, so that's the trick. So this is what you're seeing here is the spell being crafted and planted in your head from the get-go. They will not be able to achieve consciousness because consciousness cannot be created in a lab. That is something that is not able to be created in a lab. That divine spark that animates all of us, all living creatures, it only comes from the divine. There's no way that you can replicate that in a lab, and at any point in time in the future, they're going to try to sell you the idea that this is a conscious being. They're lying. They cannot prove that. They cannot replicate it. It will only give the appearance of being conscious. So he's wrong in that. There's no way that you can achieve consciousness. Maybe it would be perceived as having consciousness, but this whole question of consciousness really comes into play tonight, as we'll see here in a minute. The idea of robots having consciousness is a very peculiar one that really comes into question when we're talking about sex robots, because believe it or not, the conversation is already happening now about whether these sex robots are able to consent to having sex. There are people saying that it is not good to have sex robots because the robots cannot consent to having sex. That is actually happening. I will show you here in just a minute. It's getting kind of crazy already.
In the future, I hope to do things such as go to school, study, make art, start a business, even have my own home and family. But
Have
I'm not
my own
considered a
family.
legal person and cannot yet do these things.
I do believe that there will be a time where robots are indistinguishable from humans. My preference.
Okay, see, he's saying they will be indistinguishable from humans. And I agree. And that's why we're having this conversation now, because we're still at the phase where they are a long ways away from that. There is no way, if 100 times out of 100 times, I could identify the robot from the person no matter what. And I don't care. In any given situation. Now, we will reach the point eventually. He's 100% right that they will be indistinguishable from humans. And that's the conversation we're having now, because I think what's going on now is that the idea you have in your head and the idea I have in my head about what a sex robot looks like is that they are these like animatronic things. Like it's very clear and very obvious that they're robots and they're animatronic. But just think for a moment, this whole conversation I'm having about the degeneration, the lack of human interaction, the all of that. I'm not talking about with the robots that we have now. I'm talking about with the robots that we're going to have in 20 years that are, as the owner, the CEO and founder of Hanson Robotics, the founder of Sophia, what he is saying that they will be indistinguishable from humans. Think of it in those terms. What are you going to do when you've been on your 8th date of the month and these women are insufferable, okay? And at that point, they might be available for like $1,200. Well, 50 years from now, $1,200 will be like the cost of a cheeseburger. But in today's dollars, they might be worth, for $1,200, you could get a robot that is indistinguishable from a human female. You're going to do, 8 dates. I spent like $1,300 this month on dinner dates. I'm buying a damn sex robot. Okay? There will come a time where that is going to be something that a lot of people will opt into. Okay?
Preference is to make them always look a little bit like robots, so 20 years from now, I believe that human-like robots like those will walk among us. They will help us. They will play with us. They will teach us.
Now, that's interesting that he gives a 20-year time frame, because a lot of these futurists, a lot of these people that make these types of predictions, of course, a lot of them are completely out of the water. Like, not even close. Like, I think the movie Back to the Future 2, let's see. What year did Back to the Future 2 take place? Okay. It took place in 2015. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't playing that on the screen there. But all right. So, yeah, Back to the Future 2 took place in 2015. So we don't have the boots and the flying, whatever you call them, little flying skateboards or whatever. So they were a little bit off on that. But his guess about being 20 years in the future, this was 9 years ago. The way things are escalating these days, I can say that I would probably bet with him. I would probably say in another 11 years, as we're approaching 2040, the robots that are out there are going to be indistinguishable from humans. You can mark my words on that.
They will help us put the groceries away. I think that the artificial intelligence will evolve to the point where they will truly be our friends.
Creepy.
Do you want to destroy humans? Please say no.
Okay, I will destroy humans.
No, I take it back. Don't destroy humans.
Oh, shit. You heard it from Sophia first. They're going to destroy humans. Well, if you find any of this interesting, you can find all the links over at my Rebunked Substack page, rebunked.substack.com. By the time this episode comes out, there will be a post there at the top with all of the links to all of these clips that you can go collect. And while you're there, I hope that you sign up on the email list for free. That way you get emails whenever a new show comes out. And then if you feel the need to support my work, it's $5 a month, $50 a year. That helps me a lot, and I do appreciate it. So all of you that do support, thank you. And if you feel like that this is worthy of your support for $5 a month, I encourage you to do so. Now, if you're listening to this, I'm thinking about doing something because I'm recording this a little bit earlier. I'm probably going to release it early and have it available for premium Substack members, and then have the full episode drop on Monday as usual. So that's something I'm going to test with. I'll see how it goes. So if you're listening to this on Monday, go check out the Substack. If you're listening to it on Saturday or Sunday, thanks for your support. What's up? All right, let's get into this. So Wikipedia. Sex robots. Sex robots, also known as sex bots, are anthropomorphic robotic sex dolls. Anthropomorphism is the attribution of human form, character, or attributes to non-human entities. Okay, and these things display human-like movement or behavior, incorporating varying degrees of artificial intelligence. As of 2025, although elaborately instrumented, sex dolls have been created by a number of inventors, no fully animated sex robots yet exist. Current prototypes are rudimentary in nature and have demonstrated the capacity to articulate spoken language, display facial features, and respond to tactile stimuli. So, as according to Wikipedia, we're still a long ways away. Let's see. So, lexicology. People who are sexually attracted to sex bots are sometimes referred to as digisexuals or robosexuals, okay? So, they're going to have to add a new color to the rainbow and a new LGBTQIA+R. And people are going to be like, what the hell is that R? It's going to be like robosexuals. And so they're going to have robosexual marches with their robots, right? There's going to be a whole robot march happening in a town near you. So the sex robots have evolved from sex doll precursors that first appeared as consumer goods in France beginning in the 1850s. So the French have been robosexuals for a very long time, right? The French invented robosexuality, apparently. So that's fascinating. And through rubber goods magazines as Rubber Women. I really want to see one of these early rubber women, dude. Sex dolls at sea, imagined histories of sexual technologies. Okay, hold on. I want to go back and see, let's see, 1850s French sex doll. There's got to be a photo of these. Let's see. No, they don't really have, I mean, maybe early 20th century French boudoir doll. Okay, oops, you can't see it on the screen. Okay, there's an early 20th century boudoir doll. I don't know if that has the faculties to have sex with it. 1870s French fashion doll. Okay, I might have to do some research to follow up with you guys, but anyway. All right, so 1850s. Okay, what is this? Okay. These early sex dolls emerged from European and American industry during the 1800s Brazilian rubber boom. Rubber Boom. That's a good band name right there, dude. The first documented appearance of these rubber sex dolls in an artificial and French newspaper, La Figure, reporting from an exhibition of American rubber products at the 1855 World's Fair. There you go, conspiracy heads. So the first sex doll was premiered at the 1855 World Fair. There you go. Much of the inspiration for creating the modern sex doll came from mannequin-based art created by Hans Bellmer, a German artist. Salvador Dali. Okay. State of the research. Sex robots are still in the relatively early stage of development. While sex dolls have been available on the market for more than 20 years, there are accordingly established doll owner communities available for research. Experienced users of sex robots are hardly to be found so far. So, these academic, okay, so a systematic research review from early 2020 was able to identify 98 international academic publications on sex robots. These academic sex robot publications focus on the following 6 research questions. What are the appropriate theoretical conceptualizations of sex robots? What are the main ethical aspects of sex robots? What empirical findings on the use and effects of sex robots are available? How are sex robots represented in art and media? Okay, this is kind of dumb. Okay, how should child sex robots be regulated legally? Now, that is crazy. Okay, that is the craziest one of them all. What are the appropriate designs and design processes for sex robots? Okay, so this is where it just gets absolutely bonkers and off the wall. You know, because we're reaching an era. Oh, gosh, I got to be careful with this on YouTube. We're reaching an era where, okay, so like I saw the controversy this last week was that Grok got in a bunch of trouble because it was like you could like take a random photo of a person and you could say, hey, put a bikini on this person, right? And then Grok got in a bunch of trouble. There's this big outrage over that. So you can use these AI things. Like if they didn't have guardrails on them, you could literally take a picture of like a child theoretically and say, do anything you want to this. Okay. Now that should be very illegal. Okay. The robots that replicate a child for the purposes of those activities should be totally illegal. But then I guarantee you there's going to be an argument made. And this is where that's why you just got to shut this down, man. But we're reaching a point where the conversation, I guarantee there's going to be a debate about harm reduction. Okay? So the argument being that child exploitation materials, whether digital or real life, should be legal because there's no victim. And the harm reduction aspect of those people who gravitate towards that material can get their fix without having to have a real life victim. I mean, what do you think? Let me know in the comments. What do you think? Like, for real. Like, this is where we're at. And that's why you just got to take a piece of lead and you know what to do with the rest, okay? Can't be dealt with. Can't be negotiated with. Can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's it. So, I mean, I don't even know what to say, okay? So that's going to be very much a conversation, a heated debate. I bet you in the coming years, that is going to be a very heated debate. I bet you in Congress, that is going to be a heated debate. There's going to be a large push to make AI child exploitation materials legal as an argument of harm reduction. So, where do you draw the line, basically? So, crazy. So this is some predictions here. Let me pull back up here. Predictions. In 2014, David Levi said in an interview with Newsweek, I believe that loving sex robots will be a great boon to society. Oh, really now? There are millions of people out there who, for one reason or another, cannot establish good relationships. He estimates that this will take place by the mid-21st century. In 2017, MIT Press published the first book on the topic, Robot Sex, with a preliminary approach to the several challenges this field represents for human beings and societies. Okay. Claim benefits, right? So it's companionship for the lonely and all this stuff. And then we're getting closer to, okay, so there's opposition. Let me go down here. So they're saying whether or not it'll happen. It's going to happen. That they will facilitate social isolation. The sex robots that have been created as of 2018 primarily resemble women with exaggeratedly hyper-feminine features. And so we'll get into that in just a minute. Okay. So there's like this whole like feminism kind of woke argument that it's going to further the patriarchy and misogyny by making, it's like, come on, dude, get out of here with that shit. Anyway, philosophical discussions. So there's a lot to this. Okay. I mean, the more I started looking into this, the more I realized this is a very big discussion and it's going to actually get much bigger as we move forward. Once we cross over that threshold where they are indistinguishable from humans, then it's off the rails. And so we're starting the conversation now. Okay, so, and this is my big argument right here. So I pulled up this. This is, according to Wikipedia, this is the list of most to least countries with the highest and the lowest fertility. So America is at the 147th lowest fertility with a rate of 1.62 children per couple. Basically, total fertility rate in 2025, births per woman, per woman. So a woman on average in the United States will give birth to 1.62 children. And that's just an average, right? She's not giving birth to a half a kid. Hopefully you guys understand that. But basically what that's saying is that the replacement rate, like think about it. For every woman that gets born, 2 children have to come out of her in order to maintain the human race. Isn't that crazy to think about? So a woman, you think a woman is supposed to, like, you know, produce new life. The expectation on each woman is that she has to create 2 new lives to break even. Because if you think about it, that one woman has to have sex with one man in order to create that child. In order to replace either one of those, she has to have 2 children. So the expectation on every single woman born on the face of the planet is to bear 2 children just to keep the population at the current state. Okay. Now in the United States, at this rate, it doesn't take a rocket science to figure out that eventually, if it's below 2, and within maybe a couple hundred, maybe 1,000 years, the population is going to reach such a crisis that the only ones left, well, by this point, all the ones that have sex with robots will be long gone. But that's a population crisis. There's so much propaganda out there saying that where the planet's overpopulated and humans are gross and disgusting and don't have children, save the earth, don't have kids. That narrative has gone on for so long that now we're facing extinction level reproductive crisis. Okay. And this isn't true all over the world. So we reach this. The Cook Islands, Belize, they cross over the threshold into, let me pull it back up, the Belize into above replacement level. So replacement level is like basically 2.01. So Belize is the only country left. So at this rate, so anything above that line, Belize, Venezuela, Panama, Indonesia, Bangladesh, South Africa, these countries are going to be the ones that carry the human race into the future, the ones that have a higher than 2 birth rate. Dominican Republic, South Africa, Laos, Guyana, Honduras, Oman, Bolivia, Haiti, Turkmenistan, all the way up to, I mean, is there a single like prominent, primarily white country above replacement rate in the entire world? Is there any? Look at this. Has anybody ever pointed this out to you? That is there one Western, and when I say Western, like, you know, predominantly white, developed country, is there one above replacement rate? I don't think there's even one. Hold on. Let's see. Let's see what even the closest one in our minds. We all know what like a Western developed country is, okay? I'm not saying that these countries, I'm not disparaging these countries. Like, I'd love to go check out Egypt. I'd love to go to Egypt. I'd love to go to, I'm looking at the list here. Like, I'm trying to find one that I'd want to go to. Like, no, not really. No. Like, no, none of these. I wouldn't really want to go to any of them. Maybe they'd be great. I don't know. Okay. It's all, like, the top 10 is all Africa. Chad, Somalia, Congo, Central African Republic, Niger, Mali, Angola. Actually, I don't know if those last 3 are in Africa. I don't know where those countries are or who those countries are because, whatever. Afghanistan's in the top 10, you guys. Okay? So, America, you're going to get replaced by Afghanis here in the next 100 years. Ivory Coast. That's the thing. Not only is there not a Western developed country above replacement level, there's not a single, There's not even a single country above replacement level that I would even step foot on. Okay, well, maybe Indonesia. Indonesia might be fun. I don't know. Look at this. So there's a correlation between the indoctrination of Guatemala might be cool. I don't know, dude. I don't know. Saudi Arabia. Okay, I'd go to Saudi Arabia, dude. I'd go kick it in Saudi Arabia. I'd probably have fun in Saudi Arabia. Maybe. I don't know, dude. None of these damn ass countries would I dare go to. So there's a huge correlation. There is not one Western country above replacement level. What do you think that is? Do you think you've been propagandized? Do you think you've been programmed? Do you think that there's been some sort of toxic thing put in your brain telling you don't have kids, whereas the rest of the world, they have not received that programming? What do you think that is? You think they're going to have sex robots in Chad? In Somalia? Look at Somalia. 5.9. They got basically 5.91. Chad is 5.94. 6. Every woman in Chad is having 6 kids. That's the average. They're probably having like 50 kids. Okay? Not even joking. Probably 20. Yeah, 20 is probably very common. Okay? And there ain't gonna be no damn ass sex robots in Somalia, Niger, Burundi. They ain't playing the same game we're playing, folks. It's a whole nother ball game. And yeah, dude. Oh man. The sad thing is a lot of these white replacement guys are probably gonna be the guys that are gonna be banging sex robots. I hate to say it. The little groiper people, man. Like, you know, I am not, you know, I agree with some of that stuff, but I've had interactions with groipers, and they're going to be the ones having sex with robots. I can guarantee you. Okay? Okay. Okay, so that's my big thesis, is that the robots, the sex robots, are being introduced as a furtherance of the eugenics and depopulation movement against Western countries, against you watching this show, against all of us. So what are we going to do about it? Well, we got to just have more kids. I mean, that's the solution, okay? All right, so this is where it gets really interesting. So in my research for this episode, I came across this little nugget, and there's already a lot of advocacy and a lot of people that are speaking out against sex robots. So let's see this. This is a fun little video by this cute little channel called "What Sex Robots Really Mean for Society." And I'm going to start the episode. It's only like a 7-minute video. I don't know if we're going to watch the whole thing, but I have this section, and then I'm going to fast forward to a separate section a little bit further down, and then we'll just keep going.
All right, let's get right into it. When you hear the phrase sex robot, your mind probably jumps to some wild sci-fi movie or a sensational headline, right? But the reality, well, it's so much more complicated than that. What we're really looking at here is this fascinating and maybe a little uncomfortable intersection of artificial intelligence, our own deepest human desires, and some pretty tough ethical questions. This isn't just about a gadget. It's about what these things reflect back at us, about our own needs for intimacy, connection, and maybe most of all, control. So to get to the absolute heart of the matter, we have to start with this question.
Okay, now I can't repeat this on YouTube. Well, the kids are saying grape these days. R-A-P-E a robot? That's the question on the screen. Can you R-A-P-E a robot?
It's a really provocative one, I know, but it forces us to think about what we mean by consent, by harm, and what it even means to be a victim.
Okay, well, here's the thing about consent, is that you have to have consciousness in order to consent. So these people are already trying to put the label on these robots that it's not fair to have sex with a robot because the poor little robot can't consent to you sticking your filthy little thing inside of it, okay?
The answer is not simple, not at all. And
it's actually really simple. No, you can't grape a robot because robots don't have the ability to consent, okay? Like, why do I have to explain this to you? You couldn't figure that out for yourself? I mean, oh, man, the social justice programming is beyond. And this is only 4 months ago. This is post-social justice land. Okay, let's listen.
Just trying to figure it out unpacks this entire debate. You see, this whole dilemma really boils down to one critical word: agency. For something to be a violation, the thing being acted upon has to have the ability to make its own choices.
Okay, yeah, well, I got news for you in 2 different capacities. 1, it doesn't have agency, and 2, it doesn't have the ability to formulate its own thoughts or rationale to create an independent choice or decision. It has been programmed to, do the thing. And so, therefore, it's just fulfilling its obligation as a sex robot. A sex robot, by definition, is designed to have sex with. And so, therefore, it is fulfilling its purpose in life. Or it's not even life, it's purpose in existence.
The capacity to say yes, or crucially, to say no.
Now, of course, this with humans, this is all a no-brainer. Yeah, okay, perfect, fine. Now, the robot doesn't have the free will. The problem would be is if the robot had free will. And if the robot had the ability to say no, then we'd be in trouble. You should be making the argument that the second that these sex robots start saying no, that's when we've crossed the line into danger land, okay? As long as the robots are just doing what they're designed to be doing and they're just taking it.
Take it.
No problem whatsoever. The second they start to push back and resist and say no, then we're in trouble.
Oh, if there's no agency, can there even be a moral crime? This is the philosophical bedrock we've got to get our heads around first. And this kind of simplifies the whole thing with a powerful analogy that you see online sometimes. They call it the toaster test. Think about it. If a machine is built for one single purpose and has zero ability to choose otherwise, is telling it to do that thing a moral issue?
No.
The robot is designed for sex.
Yeah.
The toaster is designed for toast.
Yeah.
Is there actually a moral difference between the two actions?
That's it. That's the question. So what they're saying is that, well, what if my toaster wakes up one day and says, Scott, man, listen, dude, I'm going to take the day off. I think I don't want to make any toast today. Okay. I don't consent to making your toast today. Well, that thing no longer is a toaster and it needs to be shot. That's why we need bot stoppers. The day that the toasters resist, the day that the toasters say, Scott, I'm not making your toast, then we're blowing that thing into a million pieces. Okay. Cause then we're getting into danger land. So forcing a sex robot to have sex, is that a moral, ethical dilemma? Are you graping the robot at that point? Okay. They're literally making the comparison that forcing a sex robot to have sex is the same as forcing a toaster to make toast.
It's a blunt way to put it, but it really makes you think. Okay, so it's super easy to get lost in these philosophical thought experiments about conscious androids from the movies. So, before we go any further...
Okay, I think this is where I fast-forwarded it. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump in here. So it talks about some of the potential advantages of these sex robots.
Way to explore fantasies without involving another human being.
Yeah.
You've also got the arguments that they could reduce the demand for human prostitution and help slow the spread of STDs.
There you go.
And on top of all that, many people see a huge therapeutic potential for the elderly or for those with disabilities, offering a kind of intimacy that might be out of reach for them otherwise. But there is a powerful counter-argument. Critics, and that includes groups like the Campaign Against Sex Robots, are
And I was like, hold on. So I was watching this and I'm like, wait a minute. There's actually an organization already called the Campaign Against Sex Robots? Well. What the heck is that? Well, I'll show you next. But you might not know, you might not think exactly what I'm now. I was like, yeah, dude. Like, I was thinking I should start a campaign against sex robots. I'm like, I need to go see if that URL is available, campaignagainstsexrobots.com. I was like, damn, it's already taken. I wonder what legend is already so far ahead of the curve that they're already started an organization called the Campaign Against Sex Robots. We got to learn more. Well, it's not what you expect. So let's hear this for a little bit longer. We'll go check out the CARS. Oh, that's funny. Their acronym is literally CARS. CARS, which are also robots.
Sounding the alarm about a whole bunch of serious negative consequences that could ripple out into society. The fears really center on this idea of dehumanization.
Okay, so in their worldview, these are the biggest dangers of sex robots, okay? It's not the complete isolation of well, I guess they do talk about social isolation, but it's not like about the complete obliteration of humankind, about the reproductive levels reaching such a critically low level that humans cease to exist, period. It doesn't talk about the just horrific nature of that. No. It's about the objectification of women. And
critics argue that these robots, which are overwhelmingly designed to look like idealized women, just reinforce harmful stereotypes and the objectification of women's bodies. And there's this huge concern that practicing sex with an object that literally cannot say no could damage our understanding of consent in the real world.
Yeah, so normalizing sex without consent. Having sex with a robot is going to make people more inclined to go out there and start graping all over the place. And so, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. But you can find that type of stuff on any sort of porn site at any given time, 24/7. I mean, I don't know. Has that caused it? I mean, I was making the argument earlier that, yeah, that sort of stuff does damage society and makes people maybe act more in that way, whereas they maybe wouldn't have had they not been exposed to that content. So to be consistent, I could say maybe. But see, I think that's kind of a leap and a stretch to go from having sex with a robot that can't say no to, oh, I'm going to go a bunch of women. I said it. I'm going to go grape a bunch of women. I'm going to have to edit this damn video. Okay, but anyway, you know what I'm saying.
This could lead to totally unrealistic expectations for human partners, push people further into social isolation, and, of course, create a whole new kind of addiction.
Yeah, I can agree with those last two, social isolation and addiction. But anyway, I just think it's so interesting that really the main opposition to these sex robots has already emerged, but it's coming from like the social justice feminists. Like, that's what's up. So anyway, these are the bastards that took my website idea, the campaign against sexrobots.org. So CAS, it wasn't CARS, it was CSR. Sorry, I got that acronym wrong. Anyway, was founded in 2015. 2015, so that's how far ahead of the curve these people were. And it was founded to warn against the dangers of normalizing relationships with machines and reinforcing female dehumanization. Oh, okay. The idea for the campaign were outlined in the paper, The Asymmetrical Relationship Parallels Between Prostitution and the Development of Sex Robots, published by ACM-CIGCAS. Our first campaign image featured a broken mannequin and represents disassociation from relationships and the instrumentality of women's bodies reduced to parts. I'm sorry, ladies, but, I'm not going to say it. You kind of are just parts that help. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, dude. Of course I'm kidding. But, I mean, I'm trying to just be tongue-in-cheek towards these people who, like, are really kind of just, I don't know, man. But anyway, let's go more here. So this is their Instagram campaign against sex robots. Looks like they kind of gave up on posting back in 2021. They kind of, maybe she fell in love with a sex robot and ran off and is living happily ever after or something, maybe. But see, this is their stuff. World Day of the Fight Against Sexual Exploitation. Now, I can get on board with some of her stuff. Just a reminder that Pornhub made 0 reports of known child exploitation to authorities for over a decade. Okay, I'm on board with all that. But they call them sex abuse dolls. Language matters. Like, they're calling them sex abuse dolls. Power over vulnerable girls is eroticized in our culture. Okay, so it's not. We're not at the root of the argument, but I guess I feel you. No, she's making the argument that child abuse dolls should be illegal. So I can get on board with her with that. So maybe we're friends and allies in this whole argument. You know what I'm saying? But it's like. Anyway, but this is the one that we got. Okay, so this is, again, on the website Campaign Against Sex Robots. Feminist Ethical Dialogues. Okay. How over 100 years, science fiction movies, books, and comics has groomed society to accept the separation of women from their biology. I mean, ladies, let me know in the comments, like, what? Am I being a little too harsh? Am I being too harsh here? Is that really a concern? Okay, so how porn dolls are shaping women's sense of self and physical appearance. Ladies watching the show, are you concerned about being compared to sex dolls? Are you going to have a difficult time competing with sex dolls? Are women actually going to have to start, like, cooking and cleaning again, maybe. Maybe to compete with the sex dolls, ladies, this time. I'll tell you what. I worked in the dating app field for a while. I helped manage a dating app from the ground up to a, fairly well-known dating app. And so I had the peek behind the curtain of the dating app world, and I learned some very interesting facts. And OkCupid, very popular dating app, not the one I work for, but they came out with a study a few years ago, and they said that 90% of the women hit yes on 10%, the top 10% of men, which means that 90% of men are competing over 10% of women at the bottom, basically. Okay? So it has completely shifted the way society functions. A couple hundred years ago, men had the absolute advantage because men were the providers, the protectors, and a woman in the 1800s would need to be married off to a strong man that could provide for her because she was not able to do that for herself because that's just the way the real world worked back then. But the woman had a very important role because she has to create two people for every one of herself and the man that she marries or procreates with. So that in that society, the agrarian society, the men had the absolute advantage and would choose the woman that he wanted, by and large. Now, the tides have shifted so much to where women have the advantage in the dating pool by such an extremely high margin that there's a lot of men walking away. There's like the men going their own way movement. There's a lot of the red pill, Andrew Tate type folks. And it creates this further divide, I think, where, I do subscribe to some of that stuff, okay? Like, I try to keep the simping to as minimal as possible. And I don't chase them. I replace them type of thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm very grateful. I've met a wonderful woman recently and things are going really well as far as that goes. But, I've been dating a lot these last few years and it's a nightmare, dude. But, I feel like I'm a guy that has a lot to offer and I just can't. It's like, what is up, dude? Like, what? I don't get it. So it's fine. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying women have the advantage in the dating market these days. So maybe we do need an introduction of these sex robots to kind of level the playing field back down, put women back in their place a little bit, and go make me a sandwich. Go make me a sandwich. Like, okay, the day that they make a sex robot that can also make sandwiches and make the bed and do the laundry, women, you're cooked. I'm sorry. Like, I might add a third woman to the relationship at that point. If she can, oh God, okay, yeah, no. You know what I'm saying? Like at that point, like if they really need to be focusing on making sex robots that can also pack you a lunch before you go to work. If they could nail that, then ladies, you're really going to have to figure something out, dude. Really going to have to figure something out quick to compete with that. Okay. So now I'm being facetious here, but I'm curious, genuinely, like, ladies, do you feel there's competition here? Like, once we've reached that point where they're indistinguishable, is there a fear there? Like, do you feel insecure about it? Like, I know that women have expressed insecurity from the women that they see in porn, so now that's going to be just completely magnified to an incredible degree. So anyway, that's the campaign against sex robots and all that entails. So let's see here. Okay. So let's get into it. So this is Stuff magazine, stuff.tv, whatever. AI sex robots. Yes, they're real, and you won't believe how advanced they are. So this is just from a few days ago. This is December 22nd, 2025. Love, lust, and lithium ion. The future of adult tech has arrived, which has that little line in it, which tells me that this is written by AI. So, dude, if you can just write articles with AI now, like, maybe I should just start doing that, dude. I don't care at this point. Like, whatever. Everybody's doing it. Who's really writing stuff like for real still? Like, come on. I'm just kidding. All right. It says, when I received an email asking me, oh, hold on. I'm sorry, guys. I'll get better at this. I keep toggling back and forth. Okay. AI sex robots. Yes, they're real. And you won't believe how advanced they are. Love, lust, and lithium ion. Okay. When I received an email asking me if I'd like to research and write a feature about AI sex robots, I accepted the commission immediately. Who's this dude? Asat Datazadeh? Why are people reaching out to him, paying him to write articles about sex bots? be reaching out to me, dude. I will write you an article about sex bots. Stuff.tv. You feel me? Not for any hands-on testing opportunities, mind. See, he's not even a good writer. It just made for a refreshing change off the back of a hectic few weeks covering Black Friday sales, fueling the hellish fires of capitalism. Oh, those hellish fires of capitalism. Well, guess what, dude? Capitalism is about to snatch you right up once the AI sex dolls get on the market. Then you'll see what real capitalism is. Okay, so this is Real Doll X. Maybe. Look at that. Eyes opening. Interesting. No sound on that. Okay. This is Emma, designed by a Chinese robotics firm, AI Tech. It's like Old MacDonald had a sex doll. AI Tech. Emma. This is Emma. Okay, designed by a Chinese robotics firm, AI Tech, Emma is a humanoid sex doll with animatronic features, bilingual chat skills, multifunctional touchscreen. I don't think they're narrating. I'll just turn it all the way down. Standard interface of neck, industrial, universal, arbitrary change. Okay, there's just got all these like robotic limbs. It's got a standing base. Standing base doesn't do me any good. If I'm looking for sex robots, I need something that doesn't... Okay, DC heating temperature. Okay, so this is a stop temperature adjustment key. So it's got a sort of battery operated colostomy bag looking thing attached to it. Okay. It's got multi-dimensional touch sensors, super smart cloud brain, DIY train. Oh, nobody make a sex doll better than we at the Chinese robotic firm, AI Tech. Okay, on sex doll. Okay, sex doll and a doll. I think a lot of these are just AI, okay? This is a bad article, dude. This guy's... Okay. Good for you, man. I'm glad you had fun with it. But that was very uninformative, very low effort, written by AI. Look, I mean, he's got the little... Hold on. I guess I don't see his the little dashes in the text of the article, but he probably does. Yeah, see right there. People don't write like that. AI writes like that. So he... Yeah, whatever, dude. I'm not going to get all salty about it. So, interesting stuff. Okay, now, again, it seems like, okay, so a lot of these clips that I pulled up for this show, like these are all from like 9-7 years ago. Go to YouTube, type in sex dolls. There isn't a lot of information like within the last couple of years about sex dolls. They've kind of like ChatGPT, these large language models, these are just dominating the conversation. Sex dolls are kind of gone underground a little bit, or at least it's not at the forefront of the conversation. However, all the videos I'm finding are from like 9-7 years ago. So this is Vice TV. This is 7 years ago. And the video is called... Anyway, crazy. And then, like I said, 7 years ago. So if you want to watch the full clip here, it's about 4 minutes long. Go to rebunked.substack.com. You can find all the links there. And now this is China's new AI female robot will soon make women unnecessary. Hey, where was China on this list of... Let's see. Oh, China. Okay, so they're at 1.02. That's the thing, dude. That's crazy. They have the most people, allegedly. I don't know. But they're at 1.02. So they're so cooked, dude. Look. And so look, here's the bottom one. They're all Asian. So the lowest of the low are all Asian. China, Hong Kong, South Korea, I guess France. Or no, that's not all of France. Saint Bartholomew is an island, something off the coast of France. But Taiwan, Puerto Rico is right down there. Singapore, Ukraine, Vatican City. That's hilarious. Are they even allowed to reproduce? Who's reproducing in Vatican City? They're not allowed to have sex, right? That's crazy. China's in the top 4 lowest in reproduction. So they should be very incentivized not to create sex robots. But anyway, let's see here.
What if the perfect woman wasn't human at all? Imagine a companion who never argues, always listens.
Okay, now this is from 6 months ago. This is China's new AI female robot will soon make women unnecessary. It's a pretty bold claim.
And looks indistinguishable from a real person. In China, that...
I mean, not indistinguishable, but better than it was even 7 years ago.
Future isn't decades away. It's already here. Hyper-realistic female robots are advancing so fast, some are beginning to question, will they enhance human lives or replace real human connection altogether? One of the major players driving this change is WM Doll, one of China's leading manufacturers of robotic dolls. They've taken a bold leap by combining lifelike appearance with artificial intelligence. Their latest robots can carry out full conversations, remember previous interactions, and adapt to your personal preferences over time. Users can choose from 8 distinct personalities, ranging from shy and gentle to vibrant and energetic, creating an eerily customized emotional experience. With skin textures that feel real to the touch, and movements like blinking and head tilting, these robots don't just mimic.
Okay, I kind of want to get in. I kind of want to get into the sex doll trade now. That looks like fun, making those, working in that lab, like just making all these like rubber things and stuff. Like that kind of looks like fun. Maybe I think it would be a good investment. I need to figure out if any of these are publicly traded companies, because I think sex dolls are going to be the new Bitcoin, folks. I'm telling you, whatever company figures it out first, they will far and exceed the net worth of Tesla, Apple, Nvidia combined. So figure out what company is the leading edge of these sex robots and put like $20 in it. That'll probably turn into like $1 billion. I'm telling you, this will be the ultimate invention. If they can figure this one out, the people won't really want to buy anything else. You know, that's the reason why we like get up and you go to work and you make some money and then you get like a decent car. It's just so that you can attract a mate. But if you didn't have to do all that, then guys aren't going to go to work. They're not going to get up. They're just going to lay in bed with their sex robot all day long. And all the money that they do make is just going towards maintenance of their sex doll. Like, society will collapse. There'll be no more production. There'll be no more services. The service-based economy will collapse. There will not be any economy left. But while the economy is still going, the pump, you can catch the pump, but make sure you get out on the dump. Figuratively and quite literally. So there you go.
Life, they begin to simulate companionship. If this fascinates you, be sure to check out our video on the AI robot girlfriend shocked the world.
Okay, yes.
At female company tasks.
Okay, so there you go.
Represents a new generation.
So China's apparently leading the charge again. I've been saying on this show forever that China is definitely kicking our asses in terms of just, you know, traditional robotics, but these new ones are kind of these new Chinese robot sex dolls are kind of leading the charge as well, apparently. So
Customization system. Users can select from multiple pre-programmed personality profiles or create their own unique companion experience. Whether you prefer engaging intellectual conversations or something else, Roxy's AI adapts to match your interaction style and preferences. The robot's advanced learning algorithms allow her to remember your personal details and
let me just back up here. I don't know if you guys saw
relationship.
That. Hold on.
Roxy, the creation from True Companion that helped establish the entire category of interactive companion robots. Standing 5 feet 7 inches tall and weighing 120 pounds.
Would you really
Roxy
trust
features a meticulously crafted
yourself in that?
with synthetic skin that closely mimics human touch and appearance. What truly distinguishes Roxy is her sophisticated personality customization system.
Trust yourself in
Users can select from multiple pre-programmed personality profiles
think I would.
or create.
I'm sorry, but I would not trust myself inside of that while it was doing that. No way. Okay, so this is just a fun little thing I saw on Reddit. It just says, will sex robots ever become a normal thing as appliances? I hope so. I've been going through toasters like crazy. Reddit humor. Women normalized using electric appliances for sex a long time ago. With scale, it become cheap and over time more advanced. Of course, nothing beats the real thing. Because the user will still know that it's fake. Well, will you though? I mean, will there be some sort of AI interface that kind of erases that from your mind? I mean, God. So anyway, whatever, Reddit. So this is just, I don't think this is like a specific sex robot company, but they're really getting close to, just this. It's really interesting. The skin, the texture, the eyeballs. you can just kind of see how this compared to, you know, how they were 7 years ago. Where was that one? This one, the Harmony robot, like, you can tell, like compare that one compared to this.
Expressions on her face as.
I mean, let me see a good shot of Harmony. I mean,
just like, oh God, what's it gonna do? Gyrate around on the table?
I mean, honestly, it hasn't advanced that much. It really hasn't. But the skin texture, I guess, would be one aspect of it. Sex robots are here, and it's okay. This is from Yahoo News. One of the first feature articles I wrote in Reason was about sex robots. This was 2015. And both the legacy and social media had cynical freakouts about the havoc. By sex robots, I and everyone else at the time meant anthropomorphic robots that were able to be physically intimate with humans. Okay, so we have AI girlfriends. Okay, can't chat with people under 18. Okay, so there's so much more to be discussed here. I mean, I can just go on and on. The Love Factory inside the chilling new sex robot factory in China. This might be the same one we were just looking at, but Chinese factories are producing legions of AI-enhanced sex dolls priced at around $3,000 each, offering uncanny realism. So already a sex robot companion doll is about $3,000. So as they become more advanced, I wonder if that price point is going to go up, going to go down. So, yep, constructed with metal underneath silicone. That very interesting. That's the skull. The robot skull looks like underneath the silicone face. Very, very interesting. Yeah, so China's crushing there. Now, I thought this was interesting. So this is I hadn't even thought about this, which it makes sense though. It says it's the men who should be worried. Experts believe that women could overtake men in adopting sex robots as early as 2025, and this is written in 2024. So what this article is saying is that guys are walking around worried, or no, women are worried about like being replaced by female sex robots, but really what it is that women are going to be the ones opting to having male robot sex dolls, and the guys are going to be out of luck. So that's going to level the playing field again even further. So I don't know if that's the case. This is there's really not much in this video. This is, again, 7 years ago, the doctors talking about male sex robots. I wanted to point out here because I wanted to find like a video about male sex robots just to add to the conversation here. I was just going to show you here. If you look, male sex robots was the search. If you scroll down, I can't find a single video. They're all female sex robots. So that's really what's being pushed. I don't know. I'm not making a claim or an argument. It's just that there's not a single video besides that one I found from the doctors that's about male sex robots. The only other thing I could even find, literally, was this video here, which is a realistic male doll. And you can see the skin and the texture. This is what I was kind of saying. The skin and the texture is a lot more advanced than, it was like 7 years ago. You could tell from that other robot. But there you go, ladies. There you go, ladies. So there you go. Game over. Game over. Sex robots, the ethical dilemma. So apparently this is a huge ethical conversation. And I'm not going to get into all these, but I have all of these linked up on the Substack, so you can go read this all for yourself. Check it out. See what you think. And yeah, man. So what do you guys think? I mean, I think this is definitely an attack on humanity, bringing these to market. But again, the market demands it. It's just basic supply and demand. When the market demands something, when the people demand something, the market shows up to supply it. And I think this will be probably, Elon Musk said that, the household helper robots are going to be the most important invention of all time. I think that then, therefore, by extension, the sex robots are going to be the most utilized and used thing ever invented. Probably going to be the biggest thing ever in history. And if Tesla was smart, they'd be optimizing all of their research and development towards creating the perfect sex robot. But, I don't know. I don't think it can be done. I don't know. I would be very impressed. Like, okay, I don't want to be crass or crude here. Okay. How do I say this? Okay, so I've heard, obviously women say that using a toy or some sort of marital aid doesn't quite, it's not like the real thing, of course, right? It doesn't feel like the real thing. I can imagine that having sex with one of these female ones, it doesn't feel like the real thing, okay? But whoever makes that invention, makes that technological leap to inventing some sort of orifice that does feel like the real thing, like exactly indistinguishably, that's it. You gotta, I'm putting on, that's the new Bitcoin. Whoever makes a functional, realistic vagina is the new Bitcoin. Functional, realistic, fake vaginas is the new Bitcoin. So whoever invents that first, I'll throw some money down on that. Not to buy one, just to invest. Just to invest. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, wow. We did it, guys. That was a doozy. I hope you had fun. A lot of fun. Let me know in the comments what you think. I always forget to say this now that I'm on YouTube, and I know that YouTube actually, it actually helps the channel. So if you got anything out of this video, subscribe to the channel, send it to a friend, make clips of the show, give it a thumbs up, do all that fun stuff. Hit the bell, what is all the YouTube stuff? Hit the bell so that you get notified when a new episode drops. But also sign up for the Substack because that really helps me out. It's rebunked.substack.com. And then $5 a month helps me with all the stuff I'm doing. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, stay free. Peace.